We've heard from people of color who grew up in New Hampshire and felt out of place. New Hampshire is one of the least racially diverse states in the nation, more than 90% white. And we want to take a deeper dive into this issue and how we make progress. Joining me in this virtual town hall are Dr. Dottie Morris. She is Associate Vice President for Institutional Diversity and Equity at Keene State College, and she is Vice Chair of the Governor's Council on Diversity and Inclusion. Nadine Thompson served as Dean of Multicultural Affairs at Phillips Exeter Academy and now owns Soul Purpose Beauty and Lifestyle. And Sudie Lett is Youth and Education Director at the Granite State Organizing Project and Manchester Central Boys basketball coach. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Dr. Morris, I'd like to start with you. You are laser focused on making New Hampshire more diverse and inclusive. And I want to start with a question that might seem very basic, but why is it important for New Hampshire to become more diverse?
Well, you know, as we know, when we have a more diverse population, we are able to tackle problems from multiple perspectives. And so I think that, again, in order for New Hampshire to stay in line with that particular idea, we need to diversify the state and not only just have more people representing, but more perspectives being represented. And I think that what better state than New Hampshire to have this happen and to continue to happen at this time in our history.
That's a great point. And I do want to ask all of you, what are some of the unique challenges that people of color face living in a state that is 90% white? Sudie, we'll start with you.
For me personally, I had challenges growing up, being able to identify with role models, educators, teachers that looked like me or had a similar background as mine. Fortunately, I was able to overcome that with a strong base at home, but I can see that as one of the challenges many of the youth I work with face on a daily basis.
Especially for young people, not seeing someone in positions of power or in positions where they're making a difference. And how do you see yourself being reflected? So when you think about something like a curriculum in K through 12, are you reflecting, you know, some of the images of people who look like me? And then what does that mean when I grow up? Do I feel like I can reach those heights as well?
You're constantly aware of being different. You don't see a lot of people that look like you. Getting goods and services can sometimes be a challenge. It's getting a lot better. I mean, than when I came here 30 years ago, it's a lot better. You can go into larger cities like Manchester now and get your hair done or find a store that sells, you know, ethnic foods. But the challenge, I think a lot of it is just feeling isolated. So really creating an environment where people feel like they're getting their needs met.
Sure. So, and it sounds like listening to each other. What are those needs? And then working together to meet them is really important too. Sudie, I want to ask you, what to you are some of the biggest barriers to making the Granite State more inclusive, and what can all of us do to try to overcome those?
Man, that's a tough question.
We could talk for a while about this, I'm sure.
That's a tough one. I think that we need to open our minds up culturally and not get locked into certain things, meaning like, you know, maybe like brown people don't swim or don't hike, or, you know, they're more like city people and, you know, we're more rural. I think that I have family members that are from the city, and they don't mind coming here for a week at a time to get some fresh air, to broaden the perspective, to be able to entice the people to come here and be able to have enough support and enough of the things that they like around to keep them here.
Maybe the silver lining in the cloud in New Hampshire is that, you know, there isn't as much violence and shootings and that kind of thing, and even Black on Black crime. Like any other Black mother, when I'm going to the grocery store and I see the blue light circling, I can feel my anxiety go up. I'm always looking to see, is it my son? Is it another young Black male that I know? Are they in trouble? And I get really nervous whenever he leaves. So that's an ongoing struggle, but I don't know if it'd be any different if I was living in Chicago.
It's more than just looking at individual acts of racism or oppression, but it's looking at a whole system that we might need to shift a bit, or we might need to just examine it to be honest with ourselves. And so that's not a direct way of pulling people in, but it does help with retention. So when people come here and they have a good experience, they'll want to stay.
Thank all of you so much for your time. This was a great conversation. I learned a lot. I hope that viewers at home did too. And to see more from this conversation, you can head to WMUR.com. Thank you.
Thank you.